may not know the name Waggamagully yet, here we are, in a nice spot too. You probably know it better as Sydney's Royal Botanic Garden. The garden was the first scientific institution in Australia and still has researchers doing cutting-edge work. In fact, I'm supposed to be meeting one of them today. Dr. Karen Somerville runs the Rainforest Seed Conservation Project. Oh, Karen, I found you.
Lawrence, hello.
Hey, good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise.
It's been ages.
No, how are you?
I'm well. Are you still seed collecting, I see?
I am, yeah, working on this one today. This beautiful fruit. This is Cordyline rubra. Nice rainforest plant that a lot of people have in their gardens.
When you're out collecting, what are we looking for in particular in the fruit and the seed?
Well, you want to look for the fruit that has the best colour.
What's the best one, do you think?
Go for the darker coloured ones. You want to go for the ones that are as ripe as possible, and that means that the seed inside will be nice and mature.
Well, this would really stand out in the rainforest.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then with the seeds themselves, you want to test a few before you collect too many to make sure that they've actually got an embryo inside. Oops.
So we're going to have to cut this open to see what's in there. You've done this before.
Ah, I have. So that one's perfect. That one's got a nice little white embryo in there that you can see pretty clearly. And that one does too. So that looks like it's going to be a good collection. We'll just put in a tag.
Yep, tag. All the data of where and when and...
Yeah, that's right. It's really important to record all the information about where you found the plant and what's growing around it. And we take GPS coordinates so that, you know, if somebody else wants to find it down the track, they can. And that's what we need for the seed bank.
I'm free for the day. Would you like some help collecting some more specimens?
Absolutely.
Well, if you lead the way, I'll bring our gear and...
Okay, great.
Away we go.
All right.
Evolution of Australian rainforests from Gondwana to today, it's a remarkable change when you think about it. What do we look at these days?
Yeah, well, 50 million years ago, most of Australia was covered in rainforest, which, you know, it's hard to believe these days.
Yeah.
The continent broke away from Gondwana land and shifted north and started to dry out. So the rainforest was restricted to the higher rainfall areas. And then when the Europeans arrived, especially the late 1800s to early 1900s, there was a lot of clearing of rainforest for timber and for agriculture. And so what we have left now is less than 0.5% of the landmass. Still contains a huge amount of diversity, so more than 3,500 different seed-bearing species, and then hundreds of ferns and mosses and liverworts.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one. This is one we haven't actually collected before.
What are we looking at here?
This is Dillenia alata.
Gorgeous looking flower.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Actually, that's the fruit.
That's the fruit?
And that's the perfect time to collect it when it's really open like that. You know that the seed's likely to be at its most mature. Let's collect some.
All right. It's an amazing structure. Look at that pod.
Yeah, gorgeous. And the seed has actually got a big white arrow around it, so that's the actual seed.
And this is the reward for anything that wants to come along and eat it, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Plants are so clever.
Yeah. We'll germinate some of the seeds while they're fresh, and then we'll dry some out, see how they go germinating after they've dried, and then if they survive that, then we'll try putting them into storage in the freezer and see if they germinate after that as well.
Can I take it it's not always this easy when you're doing rainforest collection?
Yeah, especially because most of the flowering and the fruiting is really up high in the canopy, very, very hard to get to. So sometimes we'll use one of those big long collecting poles, the extendable pole with the pruners on the end. Sometimes we can use a slingshot to try and knock them down. We've actually had somebody dangling out of a helicopter to collect seeds from the Wollemi pines. One thing I'd like to try next is an attachment you can get for a drone, so you can just fly straight over the canopy, look down and see what's fruiting, and then you collect it with this pruner that dangles from the drone.
Oh, right. It just keeps moving forward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll get some more seed?
Yeah.
All right. Here we are, the Rainforest Plum. fantastic looking fruit. Look at that.
Aren't they beautiful? So big.
Look at them.
This is actually what's called a pyrene. So it's got a sort of a leathery outer covering and then the seed is on the inside. So if we just cut it open, so it only has a thin seed coat. And this type of seed is one that's really hard to store because we have to be able to dry it down to a really low moisture content and then package it up and put it in the freezer. And the drying, it stops the water from forming ice crystals when we freeze it.
Because I imagine with a lot of the rainforest species, given their habit and landing on the forest floor, by their very nature want to stay moist.
Yeah, I mean, they're naturally geared up to germinate. We can preserve the species in other ways. So we can either grow them in a potted collection in the nursery or we can grow them in collections in a botanic garden. One thing we do with the threatened species is that we put them into tissue culture. So we get them into a glass jar and we grow them on agar that has all the nutrients that they need to germinate.
It's a sobering thought that rainforests are so threatened in Australia that we're reduced to growing a magnificent plant like the Davidson plum in a jar. Now, all the more reason to get collecting. So I'll collect some fruit, I'll eat the fruit, and I'll bring these seeds back.
Okay, deal.
All right. The clear and present danger to Aussie native rainforests is starkly represented by one species in particular.
This is one of the most threatened species in Australian rainforests at the moment. This is the native guava, or Rhodomyrtus psidioides. This species was really common in rainforests, and then 2010 when myrtle rust hit, it was just hit so badly that it's now critically endangered.
There are no specimens of this particular species in the gardens?
No, we did have one, but it was so badly affected by myrtle rust that it was cut out. So the only specimen that we have at the moment is a painting that's in the gallery.
Far out.
Yeah.
Myrtle rust is a nasty fungal disease that afflicts more than 400 native Australian plant species, particularly the guava. This is it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the native guava, and this is what it looks like when it's in flower. It's absolutely beautiful. It actually smells delicious when it's flowering.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for the day. You too. Take care. All right. It's confronting that this is as close as I'll get today to this stunning rainforest plant. Karen and many others are putting huge efforts into conserving the species, as well as stamping out myrtle rust and returning our rainforest to better conditions. But we could all do more. We're really just getting to know our Australian rainforest species. Their value and beauty is outstanding, and many make great additions to our gardens. We overlook them at our peril. Now, the future of Australian rainforests hangs in the balance, and it's up to each and every one of us to do what we can to ensure their survival.